Well, hello again, chat. Welcome back to the basement. Welcome to the Wednesday night stream. Sorry I was late. Can happen to anybody, though. Hope you guys had a good day today. Despite all the activity. We'll put it that way. And yeah, so all kinds of nerdy little tidbits to get into. A little bit of DC. Yeah, I know. Well, look what I typed in the chat. So shut your cake hole. Love you though. Anyway, so we got some nerdy tidbits to talk about tonight. So let's do that song. Anyway, I think we're in for a fun stream. Yeah, 100%. We will talk about that for approximately 30 seconds. And then we'll get into the nerdy shit because I've had enough of that heaviness for the day. So fill your cup and light your smoke. Because it's time to escape and get nerdy. Hello, chat. Welcome to this Wednesday night stream. How we doing? We got Spicy Dan. We got Brooke. We got Delta Dan. We got some Dans and a Brooke. Change it to Dan to Dam, and that makes sense. You got two dams surrounding a brook. Yeah, I just said that. Shut up. Anyway, how we doing? How are things? What do you got there, Brooke? There's a cool DC movie turning on YouTube. Old DC animated film called Batman the Killing Joke. Oh, yeah, it's on Max. I've watched it. It's fucking magnificent, actually. Yeah. All the Conjuring Nun and Annabelle movies, you are caught up. Noise. Noise. Last Rites. Yeah, that movie's fucking exploding. Part of what we're going to talk about tonight, actually. What up, Griff? What's happening, man? Yes, sir. It's you know, days like this affect me a little. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, supernatural stuff is always fun. As long as it's quality. Gotta be quality. But yeah. I like me some good supernatural. I like me some good horror. Good thriller, good gore. I like it all. Hope everyone's doing okay. Well, I guess we shall begin by very quickly addressing the elephant in the room and then ignoring it the rest of the goddamn night because this is supposed to be escapism. Okay? Okay. Obviously, we've heard about what happened to Charlie Kirk. I don't know about y'all's timelines, but what's getting drowned out by Mr. Kirk's tragedy is the fact that within an hour of his murder, there was a school shooting in Colorado. 3 teenagers are still currently in critical condition. Thankfully, no one has died from that one. But there were 2 shooting tragedies today. 2. So, neither should have happened. No one should be mourning anyone today. No one should be fearing for anyone's life today because, their kid's bleeding in a hospital or their dad is going to end up in a casket. None of that shit should happen. Now, that's just the bottom line. None of that shit should have happened. I don't care if you find Charlie Kirk heinous, unless, he has said some fucked up shit. Like, I'm not going to front on that. He has said some fucked up shit, but even with the shit he has said, not one iota of that means he deserved a bullet. That's just all there is to it. Okay? That's my thoughts on that. And now we're going to move on to nerdy shit. Like, no questions from the class on this one. Like, that's it. Subject closed. Water. I can get the goddamn cat back. No. There we go. Finally got it to work. Aight. Where to begin? We have all kinds of fun little nerdy tidbits to go over, and of course, there's a shift happening in Hollywood, and we shall discuss that later as well. And obviously, going by the thumbnail, it's the highlight of the stream. Actually, you know what I thought we would do, chat? And I'm pretty sure this won't get a copy struck. All right, we're going to watch this quick little 2.5-minute video together because it's fucking hysterical. Okay, so we got rid of the heavy stuff, and now to wash that taste out of our collective mouths, we are going to watch this. Because this shit's hilarious.
What's your deal, Galak? This is like the 3rd time this month.
Can't you eat Saturn or something?
Wisconsin looks delicious.
What do we do, Reed?
Don't worry, gang. If we stick together and fight with all our might, we might...
Is he with you? I thought you already had a fire guy.
Prepare to pay for your sin.
Fool! It'll take a lot more than a motorcycle to stop the mighty Galactus. Oh, my sin! Oh!
All right, bye.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Who are you? What was that?
Oh, right. Call me Ghost Rider. And that was my penance share. It makes you relive all the pain you've inflicted to others all at once, which he's planets, so that's probably a lot.
Well, that's stupid. Look, like anything. So if I looked in your eye holes right now,
Get your feelings all getting unruly. Don't try to school me.
Out the way!
Now, excuse me, I gotta get back to my show. That'll never get greenlit.
Wait. You're just gonna show up, take out Galactus with a look, and leave?
That's the plan.
What else can you do?
Guys, come on. I'm really not all that interesting.
You're a skeleton.
Okay, and you're made of rocks, and he's on fire, and so it was that.
My name is Nova. Many years ago, my
No. This one's on him. Let's stay focused.
Look, a few years ago, I sold my soul to the devil. I thought he'd be chill, but turns out not so much. And with that contract, Satan, or Mephisto, depending on the writer, bound me with the spirit of vengeance.
oh, Satan. Yeah, that explains the whole burning skeleton thing.
And the leather.
Well, see, this fire ain't just fire. It's hellfire. See this bike? Imbuing it with hellfire makes it move so quick it can lap this whole city in just a couple of minutes. And it doesn't have to be a motorcycle either. It can be anything. Like roller skates.
Have you done roller skates? That was
No.
the first thing that came to mind, so.
Besides that, on this thing, I'm as fast as full, and I'm strong enough to tear down skyscrapers. I'm pretty much invincible. I can regenerate my entire body just by there being fire. And of course, I've got my appendage there, which the worse you are, the more it's gonna hurt. So that, it's pretty useful when you're fighting super villains.
Why? Well, why don't you show up more often?
I don't know, mixed messaging about the benefits of selling your soul to the devil.
What are you doing? We'd love to have you on the team.
Really? But you've already got a fire guy.
Like I said, we'd love to have you on the team. Jesus Christ. Are these cameos even in the budget?
I don't know what to say. I figured I'd always be an outcast on account of being an agent of Satan, but if you guys would have me, I'd love
Not
to.
so fast, demon!
Oh, here we go again. Look into my eyes.
No, you look here!
No, no. What's your weakness?
What is?
The power of Jesus Christ.
What?
Our Father, who art in heaven.
This hurts you? Yes. Well, kinda. It's like mostly January comedic effect, but mostly...
This reminds me of my father.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Just stop talking!
Where's Reed's Pedro mustache? Yeah, I know, right? So,
What you do, Galactus?
I figured that'd be a
Like
nice
the
little
third time
whoops.
this month.
Can't you eat?
Figured that'd be a nice little palate cleanser for us. That shit's funny. That shit funny. Okay, no, I'm gonna leave that one bookmarked so I can come back to it. What do y'all think of that, chat? Was that not funny? Hunter Iggy, what's up? Chilling in the basement. That's me. But 30 years from now, when Henry Cavill will be 72, and the Snyder Bros will still say, "Please release the Snyderverse," while all the other actors are in their 70s. I mean, that is entirely possible. Snyder Bros, well, all of them are irrational. Some of them are like actually borderline psychotic. But see, here's the thing. They're opposites. The gun glazers, same deal. If you're a Snyder Bro, or if you're a gun glazer, you're a bit irrational, and some of you are even fucking psycho. Yeah, just in case you were wondering. Figured I'd inform you. Life is better when you know. So that shit was hilarious, though, wasn't it, chat? Oh man, figured that'd be a nice little change of pace. All right, so. All right. So let us begin with this little tidbit here. Not that this is going to come as any surprise, but now it's official. Ryan Reynolds admits that he was the one who leaked the test footage for Deadpool back in 2014. Yes, I cheated a little, but I think I was onto something that people would be interested in. And I'm grateful that I listened to that instinct, and I'm grateful that I did the wrong thing in that moment. I think there's more to that quote. But I also think that that sums it up nicely. So just, randomly in an interview, well, maybe, I don't know if it was random because I haven't read it. They may have asked. But anyway, somehow the subject came up. And Ryan finally copped to one of the biggest non-surprises in Hollywood, which is the fact that Ryan leaked his own footage and got his movie made. My thoughts on Charlie Kirk passing away. Well, I covered those right at the beginning. So after the stream, please feel free to go back and check out the replay, and you'll find out, because at the very end of what I said about what I thought of him passing away, I closed the subject because this is supposed to be an escapist stream. So feel free to rewind, check out the beginning on the replay, what have you, but I'm not talking about that shit anymore tonight. Where was it? Yes, Ryan Reynolds finally cops to fucking Captain Obvious type stuff. Why does that matter? Well, it really kind of doesn't, except in the context of he doesn't have too much going on right now, other than Mint Mobile and his soccer team. But But more importantly, his wife still has that whole shit going with Justin Baldoni. That is still an ongoing lawsuit. It is still a thing. I wonder if they're done deposing Disney about Deadpool and Wolverine and Nicepool. So yeah, that's still very much a thing. It is still very much hanging over his head. So, I mean, you can feel what you want to feel about this subject coming up, but I feel like he will take literally any opportunity to get the conversation around his family shifted away from Blake Lively and the ongoing lawsuit. Well, actually, the ongoing lawsuits back and forth between her and Justin Baldoni. Yeah. So, I mean, yay, it's official. Woo! He finally said it. You know, meanwhile, in other news, the sun is hot and water is wet. And my opinion, this is just a distraction. Nothing major, but, you know, just, like, to be perfectly honest, chat, here's the real deal. Like, things are slow right now, news-wise, nerdy news-wise. So I'm going to be perfectly honest and let you know that these tidbits are being grasped for fucking straws for something to talk about. So, yeah. In the grand scheme of things, him admitting what we all knew, who gives a fuck? I mean, the only additional context available, at least in my mind, is he's just trying to shift the narrative away from his wife for as long as he can. And it won't be long. Yeah. So yeah, that happened. It's official. He cheated. May have actually broken the law. Who knows? But we got the first Deadpool movie out of it, which was awesome. Got the second Deadpool movie out of it, which was pretty decent. And then we got Deadpool and Wolverine, which was fucking amazing. As long as you don't think about the story too much. Okay. Any thoughts on that, chat? Or shall I move on to the next little titty bitty? Pause. Is that brighter than last night? No, that's what it was. Oh shit! Yeah, that's what it was. Cool. Okay, we shall move on. Like, we're not going to listen to the audio on this or anything, but it's the caption. Talks about Anya Taylor-Joy's face. Oh, that must have been right after the question. But evidently the interviewer asked Chris Evans if he was worried about playing a failed movie star, evidently in the movie he's making with Ms. Taylor-Joy here, because it was hitting close to home. And also, tell me he's not ready to play Steve Rogers again. Look at them pecs. That's beside the point. Like, yeah, what? We've talked about this before, chat. This has come up. You recall during Fantastic Four junkets, Pedro was asked about being daddy. There's a couple other stupid ass questions asked by people that have absolutely no business being on that junket. And here is yet another example of people that have no business doing journalistic things, somehow being able to do journalistic things and asking stupid ass shit like that. Like, this isn't a 60 Minutes interview where, like, they're trying to get to the bottom of some massive thing. Like, I don't understand what these studios are doing, because it's the studios. These aren't journalists. These are influencers. These are people who suck studio ass for access. And then they take advantage of said access and ask stupid fucking questions, which really makes the studio look dumb because everyone knows that the studio allows them to be there. But yet, they still allow them to be there. Why? Because studios are willing to put up with people calling out dumbass shit like that for the effect that the people that these influencers can have with their almost guaranteed to be positive reviews, because they want to keep giving positive reviews to maintain the access. And the studios want to keep them around to control the narrative that their movie is good, whether it actually is or is not. Try to get a wild comment out of Evans. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's the problem. Like, just straight baiting questions like that, that's not. That's aura farming for the asker of that question, whoever the hell it was. That person was not trying to actually, have a decent interview. They were aura farming by baiting Chris Evans. And studios need to pull their head out of their ass and knock it off, because eventually the novelty of having all these influencers like glazing your movies every single time will wear off, and then people will mostly just be remembering this kind of stupidity. So, yeah, stupid shit happens again from unqualified person being able to ask Hollywood stars questions. And in this case, a very inane and ridiculous and stupid question. Evans handled it better than I would have. I know he's got a better career than the journalist. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. His career is a tale of two, what's the word I'm looking for? A tale of two arcs. You have the MCU Steve Rogers arc, where he's part of repeated box office smashes. Probably the second favorite character amongst the general fandom, right behind Iron Man. And he has America's ass. Things are going good in the MCU. Now, when he has stepped out of Marvel, not great. Not great. Most of his films have not performed well. His own personal reviews of his own personal acting inside each of those projects they've been lukewarm for the most part. So he's I wouldn't definitely not go anywhere near as far as to say he's a failed actor. He is far from a failed actor. He's just had he had like he was strolling across a large plateau, and then he got to the edge of the plateau and's kind of been sliding down the other side of it for a minute. But he is not a failed actor. He's got more houses than her. Probably. Oh, yeah, guarantee that. That would not surprise me in the slightest. I mean, you never know. He might be a frugal dude and only have one house, but even if he only has one house and she only has one house, I will guarantee that his house is much nicer. That I will actually use the word guarantee on. Steve Rogers' house is going to be much nicer than that interviewee person. No, actually, I'm saving that. All right, I guess there's no. This is just a tweet of mine. Okay. Y'all know who Joe Manganiello is? He was the dude that he was Flash Thompson in Toby's Spider-Man. He was in True Blood with Anna Paquin. He was Deathstroke at the end of Justice League. He was in Magic Mike. Y'all know who this guy is? You know, big, muscular motherfucker. Him big boy. Anyway. Hello. Anyway, Mr. Manganiello. Turns out he's a nerd. How did I find out about this, you ask? Well, thank you for asking. I'll be more than happy to tell you. The YouTube algo threw in front of me a video about one of my favorite franchises, which is the Dragonlance franchise, part of D&D. Specifically, I love the Dragonlance Chronicles novels. Like I've never played the actual Dragonlance module for D&D, but yeah. But I'm a big fan of the Dragonlance Chronicle novels. I love them. I've read them multiple times. I will read them multiple times more. But as part of that video, as it was in general about D&D, Suki. Yeah, Suki. Just as a quick aside, and I've probably mentioned this before too, but getting used to her as an adult took a little bit. And she was being an adult. That took a that took a bit of a shift in my thinking there, going from little old rogue to Suki. So, but yeah, so that was a D&D video. Somehow, I'm not sure how the video got around to this, but oh yeah. They were talking about the subject of TSR and then later Hasbro's attempt to, I think it's Hasbro bought D&D, to turn Dragonlance into a multimedia thing. And by the way, they tried it way before Marvel did, just so you know. They put out all kinds of shit in like the late 90s and early 2000s. Just so you know, the MCU, or at least the concept of the MCU, is a big old multimedia thing and shared universe thing. Not an original idea. Just the most successful version of it to this date. Anywho, so as they were talking about that, turns out Manganiello was trying to spearhead. I can't remember if it was specifically Dragonlance, but he was trying, and I think it was. But he was trying to spearhead a whole television series. Like, he had a crew put together. Basically, he was Henry Cavilling for D&D before Henry Cavill is doing what he's doing now for Warhammer. Like, Manganiello was actually trying to do for D&D what Cavill is doing for Warhammer. And I think it might have even been Dragonlance specifically. Like, he wanted to make a show. Like, he had the concept. Like, he had already had the overall story planned out and all of that shit. So, why am I blathering about Joe Manganiello and D&D? Well, it's because I did not know until I saw that video that Joe Manganiello was a massive, 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 massive D&D nerd on the level of Cavill and Warhammer. And I was already a fan of his, but now I'm a bigger fan because now I learned not only is he just a massive human being, he's also a massive nerd. Literally and figuratively. That motherfucker is huge. He's bigger than Cavill. So, I just thought that was pretty cool to find out Joe Manganiello is a humongous D&D nerd. I don't know if you already knew that, but if you didn't, now you do. Did I mention I'm kind of reaching? All right, this is kind of a. Whoop. All right, y'all know about the Dune franchise, right? Denis Villeneuve made two Dune movies, making a third. I still haven't watched them, but I hear they're fucking epic as shit. But he has also flat out said he is done after Dune 3. Like, he's out of the Dune verse, Denis Villeneuve. So if they want to make a Dune 4, they're going to need a director. Well, also screenwriter and whatever. But most importantly, since Denis Villeneuve, director of the current Dune trilogy, as it will be standing when that movie comes out, is done after Dune 3. So they're going to need a director to make Dune 4, assuming that gets greenlit. So evidently there is a report going around that whoever makes Dune, is that Warner Brothers? Anyway, Gareth Edwards is reportedly being eyed to direct Dune 4. What do y'all think of Gareth Edwards? Do you think he should be the next person to direct a Dune movie? My take is the following. I am fine with him directing the Dune movie. He is very good with visuals, and Dune is all movies are very visually based, but Dune has a scope and an epicness to it that demands someone with real cinematic vision. And Gareth Edwards has that. What was that one movie he did? Why can I never remember the name of it? The most recent movie he did that he also wrote himself. Which would be my next point. Well, he got kicked off of Rogue One, and then Tony Gilroy redid it. Which is how Tony Gilroy ended up with Andor. But The Creator. That's right. His most recent movie is The Creator. Visually stunning. Unfortunately, he also wrote it. So, am I cool with Gareth Edwards directing Dune 4? Yeah. The man has a great eye for scope and visuals. That motherfucker better not be allowed anywhere near the script. Because while The Creator looked really, really good, it was not that well written. So, direct, yay, write, nay. In terms of Gareth Edwards and Dune 4. Now, this just says he's being eyed, which in Hollywood code means they've at a minimum talked to his agent about it. Maybe even had a conversation with him about it. But have not yet gotten to the serious negotiation phase. But there's been conversation. I love being right next to the mini fridge. So what do you guys think about the potentiality of Gareth Edwards directing a Dune 4, assuming that does get, which would not surprise me, especially if Dune 3 fucking pops off. What do you guys think, chat? Gareth Edwards, Dune 4, yay, nay, don't give a fuck. You know how he needs to be swooped up for X-Men or Dune quick? Yeah. Well, that's assuming he doesn't decide to stick with the Alien franchise. Remember, he may hook up with Fede, and they may cook with that franchise for a minute, which I would not be upset about. Would not be upset about that at all. And Holly already did Legion, though, which is mutants. So, yeah, he's got experience with mutants, so I'd be totally down for that. Totally. But all right, here's an interesting one. There's a couple layers to this. Warner Brothers makes Hollywood history with 7 straight films opening above $40 million. Now this is domestic. Weapons, 43.5. Horror movie. Sinners, 48 million. Horror movie. Final Destination Bloodline, 51.6 million. Horror movie. F1 the movie, 57 million. Racing movie. The Conjuring Last Rites, 83 million. Horror movie. Superman, 125 million. Comic book movie. Minecraft movie, 162 million. Video game movie. Legion's the kind of mutants we need, in my opinion. I need to watch that show, like, very badly. I need to watch that show. But, yeah, so a couple different things about this, this here bit of news. First of all, I don't know if you noticed, but in this entire list, there's only one comic book movie. Granted, it made the second most, but there's only one. Although that might be the only one Warner Brothers has put out this year. But regardless. What up, C-Dub? But more to the point is the success of all these other styles of movies. Actually, there isn't too many other styles. There's 3. There's one racing movie, one video game movie, which made the most. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 horror movies out of the 7 helped them set this record. Horror, 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 horror. Racing. Video game. Keep that in mind. We're going to come back to that. Now, the other part of this, I mean, obviously we're going to come back to that. It's the main subject of the fucking stream. See the thumbnail. The other part of this is one of Hollywood's worst kept secrets is that Daddy Zaz, David Zaslav, was basically hired to and has been working towards during his entire tenure at Warner Brothers Discovery, selling Warner Brothers. Now, he's done any number of things to attempt to make it look more attractive. First thing he did was combine it with Discovery to broaden its reach and allegedly broaden its income portfolio. Expanding its ability to make money, and more importantly, as it's a publicly owned company, make the shareholders money. A lot of low budget movies too. Yep, that always helps. But, well, that just helps in the final bottom line. I mean, no other studio has done that. At least according to Geek Vibe Nation. They're still working on a 10 p.m. deadline right now. Well, if you're in the Eastern time zone, and I forget which time zone you're in, you have 13 minutes. I'm hoping you're in Central at a minimum, which will give you an hour and 13 minutes. Actually, you're in like Missouri, right? So yeah, you should have an hour and 13 minutes. But, setting that aside, get to fucking work! Love you. So, yeah. Daddy's Ass has pretty much been trying to sell Warner Brothers, or at least getting it set up to sell since he got there. It's basically why he was fucking hired. St. Louis. Okay, Missouri. My bad. Still Central Time, and you still have an hour and 13 minutes. I knew it was in the Southern Midwest. Anywho. The loop. Right. So, and he's continued to make moves to make Warner Brothers look more profitable and more desirable for a purchase. Some of those moves have not been well received. The not just cancellation, but virtual elimination from existence of the Batgirl movie for tax purposes. I don't know. There's a couple other things. Oh, most recently, prior to this news, you remember how, like, towards the beginning of his tenure there, he brought in Discovery and, it made that part of the whole incorporation and became Warner Brothers Discovery. Well, within the last 3 months, he had his accounting team do some fancy accounting. Basically shifted all the bad assets over to Discovery, kept all the good ones under Warner Brothers, ledger-wise. And now he's splitting Discovery back off again with all the bad debt and all the bad numbers. And keeping all the good numbers at Warner Brothers. Again, making Warner Brothers look the most appealing it can possibly look for a sale. And now we have this Hollywood record that Warner Brothers just set, which again, Daddy's Ass isn't drooling just because it's a cool fact, or that it means they're making money from the box office probably on these. It is only going to drive the value of Warner Brothers up. The sale price up. Now, their 2026 slate, and I'm getting this from the Hot Mic podcast. Jeff and John were talking about this as well. And I haven't really taken a solid look at it, but according to Snyder, Warner Brothers 2026 slate next year, that was redundant. Not that great. However, they have a pretty strong 2027. And the ones we care about is going to be Man of Tomorrow and The Batman 2. Both come out in 2027, plus, whatever other shit they have coming out. I guess they have some strong non-nerdy movies coming out as well. But yeah, so the consensus is Warner Bros. Is going to look really, really, really good for 25. And then, while they get into preliminary negotiations with whomever, could be Apple, could be Universal, could be Paramount, now that with their new CEOs making moves left, right, and center. Jesus Christ. He is trying to bring Paramount back and bring it back now. So yeah, the message that Warner Brothers is going to be sending out, like, look at our 2025. Just stick with us through 2026 because 2027 going to pop the fuck off. That's the basic message that Daddy Zaz is trying to send out to any potential buyer out there, and also to the board and the shareholders. Hey, look what we did. Don't worry about 26. We'll get through it, and 27 is going to be awesome. I know a lot of people couldn't give two shits less about the business side of Hollywood, but they need to understand that the business side of Hollywood affects the shit that we get to watch. When companies merge or split or get bought, there's a ripple effect throughout the entire studio. Jobs are lost. Projects are canceled. And some of those jobs and some of those projects could be very much nerdy related. So whether you like it or not, whether people like it or not in general, they need to realize that the business side of Hollywood is way more important than they think because of its potential effect on the shit that we want them to make and that we want to watch. So, just anyone, whether if you don't, if you like this shit, cool, and you realize it's important, cool. But if you are one of those that don't think so, please realize you're wrong, and this shit is important because it does directly affect shit that we get to watch in one fashion, or shit we want to watch, our nerdy stuff that we want these studios to make. If there's upheaval, if there's behind the scenes, chaos behind the scenes, people losing their jobs and companies merging and companies being sold, companies splitting up, it's going to affect our stuff. So knowing what's happening business-wise can help you prepare. If you're not paying attention, all of a sudden, a couple projects you were looking forward to get canceled out of nowhere, and you're like, what the fuck? Been paying attention to the business side, could have seen that shit coming. That's all I'm saying. Pay attention to the business side. It'll give you a more complete picture of what's happening with your nerdy IP that you love. Excuse me. Oh, this one's fun. Y'all know about Sony? Y'all heard of Sony? It's a movie studio. Owns some Marvel licenses, namely Spider-Man. Biggest one. Well, and again, this is kind of more of a business thing, but they're about to be having some issues in the front office. As if they haven't had enough issues already. See the SSU. So we have, this is just a quick summary because the actual article is behind a paywall, bitches. But this comes from Puck. Evidently the author is Kim Matthews. And the logline, blurb, headline, summary is as follows. The head of Sony's movie studio just turned 70. Although this is the same studio, or studio head, that gave that quote the other day that we went over about, you can't just make a comic book movie and you're guaranteed to win. It actually has to be good now. So, it's the same dude that they're describing here. The head of the movie studio just turned 70. A key lieutenant left for Paramount. Like I said, David Ellis over there, Paramount, making motherfucking moves, man. And the remaining number 2 is not being considered for the top job. And not only because he gave a producing deal to an LA nightclub promoter. Well, that's a good reason to disqualify that motherfucker. How the hell do you give a producing deal to a nightclub promoter? That's like hiring a lawyer to do a doctor's job. Anyway, Couldn't help myself on that one. If you know, you know. But yeah, so speaking of studios shaking up, I mean, executives stick around, till their mid to late 70s. Some of them, a lot of them. Old white rich dudes. They want to do stay want to do an old white rich dude shit, right? But still, 70 years old, not as old as he used to be, still not that young. Who knows how long he's going to last? Key lieutenant left for Paramount, and I'm guessing this key lieutenant might actually have been a consideration for the top job, unlike the remaining number two. One reason of which, because the dumbass gave a producing deal to a nightclub promoter. So, at least so far as the shit that Sony makes that we care about, i.e. Spider-Man related stuff, given this information, it's probably good that Sony/Marvel Studios right now is only really working on two things. Spider-Noir, well, by themselves. Technically, Sony's working on Spider-Man 4 with BMC. Two things by themselves. Spider-Noir, which I'm still very much looking forward to, and Beyond the Spider-Verse. Obviously their regular movie division does their shit or whatever. But again, we're looking at some behind the scenes shakeups, not just coming at Warner Brothers, mostly because they're trying to sell that motherfucker, but also at Sony because their looks like their chain of succession has been kind of shot to hell for now. So, just, again, something to keep an eye on, because while there is minimal nerdy content happening at Sony, at least in terms of comic book movie stuff, they do make other kinds of movies that we like, I don't think any of us exclusively watches nerdy content. We watch other shit. I was just watching True Crime before stream. A little bit of the reason I was late because I wanted to finish the fucking episode. It was a really compelling story. Leave me alone. Anyway. But yeah, so again, something to keep an eye on in the bumpy road of business known as Hollywood. Okay. Cool. I thought I'd done fucked up and got rid of something I didn't want to get rid of. Okay. Okay. A little bit of Star Wars news that, believe it or not, is enjoyable, at least as far as I'm concerned. This comes from The Direct. Star Wars actor confirms the return of this fan favorite Clone Wars character. Exclusive. Apparently, a particularly popular Star Wars character is not done yet. The voice behind a familiar face from Star Wars: The Clone Wars confirmed his fan favorite Rogue will return to the Star Wars universe, possibly sooner than fans expected. When promoting Andreas Deja, 30 years of Disney villains at San Diego Comic-Con 2025. Or is it Andreas Deja? I'm going to go with Deja, given the first name. Legendary voice actor Jim Cummings confirmed Hondo Ohnaka is returning to the screen. In chatting exclusively with The Direct, Cummings told fans to stay tuned, as the self-serving yet hilarious Weequay pirate, who was first introduced in Star Wars: Clone Wars, has more to do in Lucasfilm's upcoming Star Wars slate. When asked whether Hondo might appear in Maul Shadowlord, a sequel to Lucasfilm's animated series The Clone Wars, Jim Cummings winked while saying, I think you're going to have to stay tuned because Hondo is not done yet. Cummings went on to share what he loves about the yada yada yada. He's one of my favorites because he's a lovable rogue. You could probably actually trust him. He looks out for Ezra, and he looks out for the younglings, as they call them. And he won't do anything to harm anybody. But I wouldn't want to play cards with him. A little bit of history. A little speculation about what he's going to show up in. And I agree, odds are that it will be Maul Shadow Lord next year, which I'm fucking stoked for. I love Maul. Okay, however, it's worth knowing that Cummings mentioned Ezra Bridger, character who did not appear in the Clone Wars, made his live-action debut in Ahsoka on Disney+. Could it be that Hondo, who also has passed with Ahsoka Tano, is also preparing to make his own live-action debut on Disney+. I would be totally here for that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Much bullshit there at the end, like usual. So, chat, I am stoked. I love Hondo Ohnaka. I've loved him since I saw him in the Clone Wars. Kenobi. Hondo Ohnaka is great. So I'm pretty excited about it. Anyone else here like Hondo? Just me? I love Hondo. He's such a fun character. How do you guys feel about Hondo Ohnaka and his potential return, possibly even next year? Anybody give a shit? I love Hondo, so I'm going to talk about it. So I wanted to talk about it, so I did. Does anybody give a fuck? Does anybody give a fuck? No? All right, well, I do, I did. We talked about it. Moving on. Let us talk about some DC. So, a couple of things to come up. Character-wise, a couple of tidbits. One, and these both come from the Clayface set. Okay? So, item number one here. Says a Zatanna connection spotted on the set of Clayface. She regularly performs at Club Vesuvius. And here we have, on the set of Clayface, some GCPD cars in front of Vesuvius. Now, does this mean that we are going to actually maybe see Zatanna a little bit in Club Vesuvius? I have to do some research. I'm not 100% sure who she is or what she's about. I have heard when she's brought up that people like her as a character. Like, I guess she's at least somewhat popular. Has her devotees, as it were. But, I mean, even if this ends up being nothing more than an Easter egg, you know, it could be a clue at, you know, who James still wants to bring into his DCU character-wise. And possibly, and this could possibly be a signal that he might be looking to bring Zatanna in sooner rather than later. Okay? And then we also have this other little doodad, other little clue, visual clue about things that James Gunn has in mind. Now, this one's going to be a bit of a Captain Obvious because this is practically required. But we also have this. New DCU set photo reveals first tease at James Gunn's Joker. A major DC villain seems to be already active in the DCU, and he is no joke. A new DCU set photo seemingly revealed the first tease of James Gunn's take on the classic DC Comics villain, Joker. While Gunn's DCU Batman movie still seems quite a ways off, it is quite a ways off. Shut the fuck up. That has not stopped the DC Studios boss from letting creators play within the world of the Dark Knight in the new interconnected comic book universe. References were already made to Gotham City and its character within it, and there is even already a Batman-adjacent movie in the works in the Mike Flanagan-written Clayface, telling the terrifying tale of the Caped Crusader's iconic shape-shifting adversary. However, Clayface will seemingly not be the only character from Batman's comic book canon to appear in the new movie. New set photos from Clayface production in Liverpool, England, revealed a first tease at James Gunn's DCU Joker. Click on it, and it is specifically, we have DCPD motorcycle, some signs saying how to get around Gotham City, the Narrows. Narrows. That's where the crime be at. And it's this pic right here. That's this bottom. Corruption is the enemy of the people. It's down here. March against the GCPD. Park Row, Gotham, this Saturday, 2 p.m. Join the Joker. And this is a video of, Vesuvius, Club Vesuvius. So that was the Zatanna hint as well. Oh, wait. Shit. Hold up. Wait. Yeah, it looks like a Band Alliance thing. Live in Gotham, door 1 p.m. Saturday, okay, that's not band. One night only, the 3 o'clock club presents Ashes on Sunday. Okay, so a couple band posters. Banquet Gym at Club 20. Shackles, rooms for rent time, okay. Every Saturday, Andre Borst at the Rhythm Room. Stand up to Gotham Police. Yeah, can't really read the bottom of that. Band posters.
Oh my god.
Shackles production live. There's the Joker poster. This is the poster right here. That's the Joker one. Let's see what else they have, though. I haven't actually watched this. Cops are not on your side. People in the way of that grouping. Move, you fucking kids. God damn it. Always in the way. To the GCPD. Evidently, there's going to be some heavy anti-police sentiment going on in the Clayface movie. It would appear. Now, I don't know how much it's going to affect the movie itself, but it's obviously going to be a thing in James Gunn's Gotham. Because remember, even though Clayface is being produced by Matt Reeves, it is in the main DCU continuity. So, yeah, I mean, Joker being anti-establishment, not a shock. But it looks like, at least in Gotham, James is going to be setting an environment that, if not overly hostile to cops, people want it to be. And that'll be very interesting. That'll be an interesting set of circumstances for Gunn to play around with. And it also one in which he could like step on a landmine so easily. If he's gonna play with that theme, he's gonna have to be really fucking careful. But what do you guys think? Look, we're gonna have a Joker reference. Looks like he's gonna be engaging. At least at one point in time, he's gonna be engaging with more of his anti-establishment kind of views. Now, whether those end up being a setup for him to, do like regular Joker shit, bring around Joker toxin, killing people, stabbing people, blowing them up, that kind of thing, stealing. It looks like at one point, maybe this might be very, very early in his career, he's starting off as an agitator. I think it's more likely that he's going to use this event to his own advantage in something much bigger and much more destructive. Because that's just how the Joker fucking rolls, folks. What do you guys think about that? We've got a Zatanna reference and a Joker reference / Easter egg happening in Clayface in main DCU continuity project. What do y'all think? I think it's interesting. I mean, you have to have the Joker at some point in your DCU. You have to. I mean, Batman is your most popular superhero right now, and Joker isn't just DC's most popular villain. On like many surveys that have been taken, he's like the highest rated villain in comics, period. I know that's going to piss a lot of Doom fans off, but there's data. Sorry. There's surveys. Multiple surveys where Joker wins overall best villain in comics. Not just DC. Comics. I don't know if Josh realizes that, but yeah. So you really, 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 really have to have the Joker. And he needs to be recurring. Not like every fucking movie, but, there needs to be some time between his appearances. But I wouldn't keep, too much time between his appearances. Once you get him going. Brooke says, I knew about Joker long before I knew about Dr. Doom. I think a lot of people did, honestly. I mean, let's face it, Dr. Doom started off as a Fantastic Four villain, and then he kind of expanded her out from there to fuck around with, the entire 616. But yeah, Joker's been well-known, much more well-known for much longer than Dr. Doom has. Like Dr. Doom, I mean, the Fantastic Four weren't introduced till like the 60s. So that means Dr. Doom also was not introduced till like the 60s. I'm pretty sure Joker's been around since like the 30s or 40s. Not 100 on that. I'm not, okay, let me take that back. I'm not sure about the 30s. I am 99% sure about the 40s. April 25th, 1940. Oh, in the debut issue of Batman. Okay, so Joker and Batman appeared in the first Batman comic. So there has always been Joker. There's been Joker as long as there's been Batman, and that shit happened in 1940. So yeah. Joker is a big motherfucking deal. He's kind of a big deal. I love Scotch. Scotchy, Scotch, Scotch. But yeah, so What do y'all think? Is having his name on a poster enough Joker aura for the Clayface movie? Is it a nice hint? I mean, again, super obvious you're going to have Joker in the DCU. The smart money would be to do it sooner rather than later. Of course, that also means you have to get going on your fucking Batman movie sooner rather than later, James. But yeah, so already getting our first Easter eggs regarding DCU characters that, well, in the case of the Joker, will appear in the future, and in the case of Zatanna, could appear in the future. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? What the fuck? Okay. Still a giant question mark over who will play DCU Batman. Yeah. That is true, unfortunately, because we're not going to get the Joker probably till we get Batman. So. But I think it's kind of cool that he's already kind of, beginning to be set up, even if it is a little name in small print at the bottom of the poster. Yeah. Okay. One last little thing here, DC-wise. And this is mostly... I just got to poop on James Gunn for once again opening his mouth and really not paying attention to what comes out of it and contradicting himself / making himself look like a fucking liar. Once again. Why do I harp on this? Because motherfuckers out here doing stupid shit instead of, getting back to the studio and doing studio executive things. Anyway, so James Gunn was on the Howard Stern show. And I think in the article it was surmised when Man of Tomorrow was going to be filming. Maybe James already said it. But anyway, if he already said it, he reiterated that Man of Tomorrow is set to begin filming in April 2026. Here's the quote. I am creating the Superman sequel that we're starting to shoot in April or so. Okay, well, that's not set to begin filming in April, but, headlines are out. Well, here's the thing. Brennan! He said Superman sequel in this interview on the Howard Stern show. Has he not spent the last, month, or even when the subject of the next Superman movie came up, maybe the last 3 months, has he not spent that time saying the next Superman movie will not be a direct sequel? Is that allegedly not why the next movie is named Man of Tomorrow and not Superman Man of Tomorrow? Has he not been emphasizing that for a hot minute now? Yes, he has. And now in this interview on the Howard Stern show, now all of a sudden it's a fucking Superman sequel. So, he also said in this interview that it's going to be more, these two are going to be forced to work together against a bigger threat, which does follow the Man of Tomorrow comic book line. And we talked about that last Wednesday when it first dropped that this was going to be his next movie in the Superman saga, Man of Tomorrow. And it was already kind of talked about that these two were, well, last week it was surmised that was what's going to happen based on the Man of Tomorrow run in DC Comics. But James Gunn has confirmed in further comments from this interview that for whatever reason I did not bookmark, that these two are going to be forced to work together to stop a much bigger threat. Now, setting James Gunn's inconsistency aside, who or what will this bigger threat be? A lot of people, again, and we talked about this last week. A lot of people, actually, 1 week ago today, it was last Wednesday. A lot of people's initial reactions when Man of Tomorrow was just first announced was Brainiac. He's bringing in Brainiac. They're going to have to fight Brainiac, and what that is possible. I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. I can't say that. I have no fucking idea. But here's the thing with that, though. Whoever the big bad is going to be in Man of Tomorrow, is going to depend entirely on how closely James Gunn wants to stick with that run. If he's doing something closer to what Marvel Studios does with Marvel Comics and just, take the bare bones of a story and then, hit the major points, but pretty much change it. Like Marvel Studios adapts comics. They never do a 1-to-1 by any stretch. Like, if they really wanted to cover the Civil War event instead of just making it one Captain America movie, they could have spent an entire saga just on Civil War on that. So Marvel Studios condenses, they adapt, they shift shit around, they change things. And, only the most ultra hardcore freak out about that. So, could James do the exact same thing and make Brainiac the main villain of Man of Tomorrow? Hell yes, he could. However, if he wants to stay close to that actual comic run, then he cannot use Brainiac as the big bad of that. Brainiac only appears, if y'all remember from when we went over this last Wednesday, again, when this was initially announced, the subject's going to involve some refreshers. The Brainiac only appeared in, I think, one issue, and he wasn't even the big bad in that issue. Like, he was not the big bad at all in the comic book Man of Tomorrow run. So, like, there were bigger problems. Like, for example, Cyber Superman, Hank Henshaw, and the villain Metallo. Those two were much bigger problems than Brainiac was in the Man of Tomorrow run. So, is James going to make Brainiac the big bad, which might actually be the best decision business-wise? Or is he going to bring in Hank Henshaw and or Metallo? Because both of them are a fucking problem. Like, let's be real. Hank Henshaw is a problem. Metallo's a problem. So, we shall see. As Josh says, we'll find out. And we're going to find out together how that's going to go. But, just... Now, all of a sudden, it is a Superman sequel. Shit cracks me up. But, what do you guys think, though? Here's a question. Do you think A, Gunn just lets shit fly out of his mouth without ever really thinking of the implications of it? Do you think B, was this a bit more intentional, him calling it a sequel? And do you think, and someone else, where did I see that? I saw someone bring this up. That it's possible they do put the names, change the name of the movie to Superman Man of Tomorrow. Just for that little added bump. In hype and recognition. Maybe. Excuse me. But yeah, so... And tomorrow films next April-ish. And James, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, decided to call it an actual sequel. Whatever fucking reason. I feel like Gunn sometimes just blurts whatever's on his mind at times. Yeah, I'm thinking he's, I feel like he's neurodivergent. Like, no talk. he exhibits symptoms. One of those being just letting shit fly out of your mouth without really thinking of what it could mean. Yeah. So we got some. We're going to move on to some Marvel news. Actually, we're going to move on to some Marvel news in a little bit because I need to use the toilet. I'll be back in a bit. Then we'll get into Marvel, and then we'll get into our main topic. Okay? Be back in a bit. Just pretend this is a Marvel cast presentation. Alrighty. C-Dub, have you guys watched the Drinkers video from today on Why TV Kinda Sucks Now? It's not about woke stuff. Really? About these long delays in between seasons. It's really good. The Drinker making a nuanced video rather than just going, it's bloody woke. I'm the critical drinker. There's too much woke. And he made a video that wasn't just about woke shit. Oh. Well, A, congratulations, critical drinker, for actually making a thoughtful, nuanced video. I might actually watch this one. And yeah, long delays in between seasons in general, probably not the best idea. I do agree with him on that. But yeah, 80% of the time, drinker can suck my butthole. All right. Chat, we now move on to some Marvel titty bits. Now move on to some Marvel titty bits. Anyway, all right. Okay. So, never heard of the drinker? His full name is the Critical Drinker. He's a YouTuber, pretty decent sized YouTuber. 5-digit count. Has he cracked 100K? C-Dub? Do you know what his sub count is? I don't remember. It's minimum 5 digits. I'm not sure if he's cracked 6. Yeah, so Tom Holland gave a big old interview in Esquire, and it wasn't all about Marvel shit Spider-Man, but of course, being Tom Holland, had to talk about Spider-Man, right? I'm going to skip this bullshit at the beginning about not Spider-Man. Oh, 3.5 years of being sober. Good job, Tom. I guess Bureau's going really well. Who cares? Hello. Here's a fun question. Now, this was related to them talking about him being involved in the fragrant 2.36 million. Jesus Christ. I didn't realize he was that huge. Okay, so yeah, he's a fucking monster YouTuber. He's a monster. He's a bloody monster. I didn't realize he was that big. No, rock on, drinker. Big ups to you. I mean, he had to put in work to get to that point. It's too bad a vast majority of his takes are bullshit. Anyway, so this here comment from the interviewer. Again, they were talking about Tom getting involved in the fragrance industry. Says, I was thinking maybe it gets a little musty in the Spider-Man suit and you needed a fragrance to cover it up. Yeah, it definitely does. I probably get a new suit every 2 weeks, I reckon. Well, shit, there goes some of the budget. This bitch gets replaced every couple of weeks. Interesting. Okay, so we get into the, that, I guess, was the segue into the Spider-Man section of the interview. So here we go. I read that you're doing some research ahead of Spider-Man Brand New Day to find out what fans wanted in a fourth Spider-Man film. But I'd love to know what you're personally hoping to see from another go of Spidey. For me, says Mr. Holland, I want to do justice to Peter Parker's character. I want to bring the fans something that's really worthy of their time, and I'm very grateful for their investment in our franchise. I don't mean financially. I mean the time to go to the cinema 3 times. That's a big ask. I like drinker as long as he leaves out the grifter takes. Yeah. I mean, I've seen a video or two of his where he did not dive headlong into the grifter bullshit, and I was like, okay, cool, yeah, good video. Problem is he spends way too much time diving into the grifter bullshit. All right, so I did a lot of, okay, we already got this quote the other day, but I did a lot of sneaky research online, looking at what people were saying in the interim between Spider-Man No Way Home and now Spider-Man Brand New Day. I really just kind of put together a vibe of what people were looking for and went to Marvel and said, this is what I think we should be doing. And I think that's exactly what we are doing. So it's been a really fun process developing the movie. It's the first time I've ever been allowed in that part of the process, and it's definitely a stressful experience. But I think where we've got to, now that we're shooting, we are shooting absolute gold. Well, I mean, let's be real. Do we expect a movie star to do anything other than like hype up their movie? On the other hand, it still sounds good. You know? Here we go. Does it feel validating to be in that room and help shape the film? I think so. I have such a good understanding of who Peter Parker is, and I've been so lucky that the fan base has been so vocal about what they love from the franchise. We've been able to really lean into those things and capitalize on those things. So I love standing up for the character, being in the room, and making sure that the decisions we make are what's best for Peter Parker, because he really does feel like one of my best friends. It's a really weird experience diving into the character again. It just feels like you're hanging out with an old pal. Is that it? I thought there was more. Okay. I guess that was the Spider-Man stuff. So yeah, obviously, like we said, they talked about his research that he did, and that was a quote from earlier this week about him delving online and various platforms and seeing what people had to say about what they wanted from, Spider-Man character in general and Brand New Day specifically. And of course, there were worries that he would start actually buying into some of the more psycho points of view. I feel like that take does not give him anywhere near as much credit, or doesn't give him any kind of credit for having any kind of brain at all. So, yeah, that was that. Now we're like, it again. Is it his job as the star of Spider-Man Brand New Day to, in interviews, like, pump up Brand New Day? Of course it is. That is definitely his job. But diving headlong into who the actual character of Peter Parker is in general, taking the time to do that, taking the time to actually do that internet research, taking on the responsibility of getting himself into the the room and make sure he's heard and that he is fighting for what he believes to be the best version of Peter Parker to put on screen for us. And again, while you do have to keep in mind that, he is an actor blowing up the movie he's starring in, I also really happy about the fact that he seems to respect the character of Peter Parker a shit ton and seems to really, 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 really want to do right by that character. Ultimately to our benefit. Right? So, what do you guys think though? I like what I heard. Even allowing for the usual lead actor puffery that you're going to get in these types of interviews. I think it's pretty dope that he's invested himself that much into the character of Peter Parker Spider-Man. What do you guys think about that? You like it? Just want to blow it off as the usual actor fucking smoke? Or the usual actor trying to smoke? Jesus fuck, I can't talk. The usual Hollywood actor trying to blow smoke up our asses? Or does this, or do you like this? Do you feel like he's actually being genuine? Do you appreciate the effort if you do feel like he's being genuine? What do you think, chat? Let me know. Let me know. A little bit of both. Fair. He must be genuine, but of course he needs to hype up his movie. Oh, definitely. Any other thoughts before we move on? Yes, no, maybe so. Alrighty. Last little Marvel tidbitty thingy here, and then we're going to move on into our main topic on prevent evidence and all that kind of fun shit. All right. So Daniel Rickman posted this. It is something the Russo brothers posted on their Instagram. And it is a very blurry chalkboard, reminiscent of the one we saw in Fantastic Four. But the hashtag Doomsday is coming. Brennan, you think Tom's been the best combo of Peter and Spidey? Like, real talk, I don't think I can agree or disagree with that, just because it has been for goddamn ever since I have watched any of either the Tobey or the Andrew Garfield movies, and I keep forgetting Andrew Garfield is British until I heard a clip of him talk today. I can remember Tom Holland's British, but I keep forgetting Andrew Garfield's British. It was weird as fuck when he started talking. I'm like, wait, what? Anyway, so yeah, they posted this blurry ass picture of a chalkboard very, very similar to the one in Fantastic Four, with the hashtag Doomsday is coming. So of course people are like, what does this mean? I mean, I'm curious about what it means. Don't get me wrong. So all kinds of theories started flying around the interwebs. Myself, I brought up the possibility that maybe they're just kind of trolling us just a little, because who the fuck knows? They could have just blurred up something like a shot from the Fantastic Four, pulled one up, made it blurry, and posted this. I mean, that seems a little ridiculous to do, though, like real talk. I just, wanted to put it out there as a possibility. Your mileage may vary on how remote that possibility is, but it is possible. And even not necessarily because they're trolling, just because they wanted to put something out there to get people talking. I mean, that could be a reason why they blurred it out, because it's technically reused, a reused image. However, that possibility aside, a lot of people out there are talking about ways Doom could be involved with this. So I'm going to try. Why is that up? Okay, so yeah, this is super blurry. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Butthead. Oh. So, let's dig into this. Yeah, this is all pretty much completely illegible. This right here kind of looks like an X, and this might be a C, which would make sense because they would be doing astrophysics, and C is the speed of light. So that would make sense for C to show up in an equation. So that's really the end of it. Okay. Yeah, not really a lot to see. Nothing to see here. Move along. Yeah, that's a better shot of that. I don't know. Maybe that's not even a C. Almost looks like it says ice, doesn't it? Interesting symbol there. Yeah, so again, 99% unintelligible, 99.999%. Not even a familiar shape that might look like a black hole or something. But yeah, a lot of people think that this could be indicative of either a Doom dropping science on Reed. Like this is like showing out Reed out like, no, this is what's really going on, and here's the proof. Another possibility is that is evidence of Reed and Doom working together, hanging out, being like astrophysics, math nerds together. Yeah, exactly, science bro style. There's a couple different possibilities, but now why would the Russo brothers tease something like that? Like 15 months before their movie's going to come out. I mean, yes, it will. It does keep the discussion about Doomsday going. It'll still be out there, popping up on timelines in front of people's eyeballs, which is good. But I don't know. It is cool. I do think Doom is related to that in some form or fashion. I don't know. There's just something about this shit here that, for lack of a better phrase, just feels more like something Doom would put on a chalkboard than something Reed would. I'm probably dead ass wrong, but that's just the feeling that some of the shapes, like again, like this shit, a little bit of this shit down here. I don't know. It just seems less Reed-like and more Doom-like, for all the sense that fucking makes. You know what I mean? But yeah, so the Russos popped that out and got the internet going for a hot minute with it. A lot of theorizing and shit happening out there about it. What do you guys think? You guys have any of your own theories? Is there any theories out there that you've seen or heard about that you like? Maybe Doom can reverse engineer that Galactus ship tech too. That would be pretty sweet. Maybe that's how he got. Maybe that's how that Fantastic Four ship ended up in the 616. There's a decent chance he's on that ship. Not guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination. But I would say there's a decent chance he's on that ship, especially given that he was hanging out with Franklin in that post-credit scene. So he's around. I mean, for all we know, that blurry picture the Russos put out of the chalkboard could very well mean that was Doom and Reed working together to find a way out of that universe, and that's how they ended up on the ship all together in the 616. Possible. Possible is possible. It is possible. You guys got any further thoughts on either Tom Holland's comments or the Russo brothers post? Anybody? Grab a drink while you think about it, and then hopefully type. right. Let us hence on to our main topic, which, again, on the thumbnail, the new nerdy, which involves anime. It involves video games. And I am going to go ahead and include horror in this. I mean, granted, most people don't, when they hear the word nerdy, don't think horror, but I don't know. There are horror nerds, maybe horror geeks if you want to go that route, but horror is a genre that is not necessarily like mainstream, at least not a lot of aspects of it. Some of it are like, vampires and zombies, but as a genre, at least when it comes to Hollywood, it's hit or miss. Some pop off, most do not. But I don't know if you guys have noticed lately, but horror movies have been doing really fucking well lately. They've been doing really well. That list that I talked about earlier with Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers record-setting 7 consecutive $40 million domestic openings. Remember, 4 of those 7 were horror movies. One was a video game movie. 4 of those 7 were horror movies. One of them, of course, is this one, The Conjuring. The Conjuring Last Rites. Global opening box office was $187 million for The Conjuring Last Rites. Thought I had this pulled up, but I didn't. Now, to compare to more mainstream nerdy IP. Superman. Its opening weekend box office, $125 million. Conjuring's was $187. Conjuring opened to $62 million more than Superman. You can't just give me a number right there. Okay, 117.6 for the Fantastic Four. So that is 45 million more than the Fantastic Four. 40 million more than Superman. A horror movie. $187 million opening weekend. And again, that's just one example. You had the the other 3 on the Warner Brothers list. Terrifier was killing it when it came out. Five Nights at Freddy's did pretty well. Weapons, Sinners, those were WB movies. Horror is on the come up. It's been on the come up for like the last year or 2, but only people that really pay attention were kind of noticing, i.e. horror fans and people that like watch box office, because they do. But now the general public is starting to notice. And obviously they are, because humongous ass opening weekend for like a movie, again doing 40 million more than a Superman movie or an MCU movie. Horror is making a comeback big time. And as there's only so much money and attention to go around, the bigger horror gets, the less people, money, and watch time there is for other genres, including comic book movies. Right? But horror is not the only thing on the comeback. Anime is on the comeback. Video games are on the comeback. I don't know what the hell happened to all the anime shit I had marked up, but it's here. Okay. I'll have to wing that. But, for example, and it's not just there's an anime one. Like, for example, Netflix is delving right back into the pool of live action anime adaptations. And the live action My Hero Academia is moving forward at Netflix to join the ranks of One Piece that is currently existing. I'm pretty sure that Netflix has another live action. What is that one called? Yeah, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. That's coming to America. And that's already making money overseas. Like, it's already made, like, what was that came up the other day that I saw? It had already made the equivalent of like $250 million. And that was on a limited release, like 18 or 30 theaters or some shit like that. And there were still like 80 more theaters that hadn't premiered in yet. Releases this Friday. Yeah. So yeah, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle has made $250 million so far on a like very small theater count. Like, it has like 80 more theaters that it has yet to premiere in, and it's already at $250 million. So there's a good example of anime exploding. Netflix going into the live action anime. Neza 2. Those were goddamn ridiculous, and that was most of its money just came from China. Like one country. Like anime, and obviously that's, Neza is in its home country. But, Demon Slayer coming here. My Hero Academia live action coming to here. So yeah, there was also that stat that came out like a month ago. What was it? Yeah. Yeah, this came out in July. Netflix says 50% of its global users now watch anime. That number of Netflix users has grown. 50% of Netflix users now watch anime. And that was in July. And again, they have all the anime shows they have on there. One of which was Demon Slayer, the animated one. They have live action One Piece. They're about to have live action My Hero Academia. Demon Slayer anime is, it's been whooping Western comics, at least manga has and stuff, for quite some time now. And it's always had a big following over here in the West. But now it's getting like mainstream. And Hollywood is obviously starting to like see what's going on, and they're going, you know what? Anime's popping off. Comic book movies are kind of on the backslide. Maybe we should shift our attention and our dollars and our projects over here in anime land, bro. Maybe we should start sliding some money to the horror genre. That's killing it right now. And again, the pie's only of one size, man. The bigger slice you give to other things, the less there is, you give a bigger slice to some things, that means there's less for other things. So horror's killing it in Hollywood, and anime's killing it in Hollywood. Studios are going to start taking money from comic book movies and other related things, comic book content in general, and they're going to start shifting it to these other genres. There's another one, video games. I'm not going to go, just for example, and it's not just how many they're adapting, it's the quality they're putting into it. Like, for example, Darius Wolski is the cinematographer for Zach Cregger's Resident Evil film. Okay, who is Darius Wolski? Well, past projects include the original Pirates of the Caribbean, Prometheus, The Martian, which I have not seen, but I heard is phenomenal and looks really, really great, and The Crow 9094, the original fucking Crow. So this dude did the cinematography for The Crow, The Martian, Prometheus, and Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, the only one of those I haven't seen, Your First Taste was Seven Deadly Sins of anime. Cool. Cool, Brandon. That's cool. But yeah, I've seen 3 of these, and they are all visually magnificent. Probably the closest one, the one that would come closest to it, will actually be kind of a combo because, you had the skeleton, the skeleton crew of the Black Pearl, the cursed crew. So, Resident Evil, kind of dead things. And of course, Resident Evil is also very sci-fi, so you got the way Prometheus looked. So yeah, I think this is for this movie a magnificent hire, first of all. And second of all, again, this is a testament to the kind of care that Hollywood is starting to put into their video game adaptation. Here we go. More Netflix getting into video game stuff. Netflix's BioShock movie is definitely going to be based on the first BioShock game, confirms producer Roy Lee. Now, I've never played BioShock. I really don't know shit about it. But again, this is an example of the care that Hollywood is beginning to put into these adaptations, because they're seeing that this is where the money is shifting to. This is where consumer interest is shifting to. Yeah, there is a shift happening in Hollywood, and every other genre that more money gets dedicated to means less money for the shit that we want to see. Or at least the shit we've been wanting to see. Now, nerds are nerds. You're finally done? Damn. Well, relax, bro. Lean back, take a breather. But yeah, like the winds are changing in Hollywood. Where the money goes is changing in Hollywood. Time for your post-deadline victory stake. There you go. What cut are you getting? But yeah, things are shifting in Hollywood. Which, if you really think about it, is only natural. The pendulum always swings. Comic book movies, specifically the MCU, have been on top for so fucking long. It only makes sense that the pendulum is going to swing away from them, at least somewhat. That's just the way things are. Everything is cyclical. But regardless of whether this should or should not be expected, it is happening. It is something that studios, or it's something that fans are going to have to take into account when they're wondering, why the studio is spending less on their comic book content, why they're making less, why they're spending less on what they make, and it's not just because of the tight economy. It's because they're finding what they think are better opportunities to reach larger audiences and therefore make more money. Yeah, no, they're not dead yet. They're never. Comic book movies are not going away. Like let's not misunderstand that. I am under no circumstances am I saying comic book movies are going away. That's never going to happen. They got big enough to the point where they're going to be around. Like they've built up enough of an audience. They've built up enough of an audience for comic book movies, for them to like not disappear. Denver cut, American Wagyu leftover from your anniversary dinner. Like a fillet strip and ribeye all in one. My God, that sounds magnificent. Freeze me a cut and send it to me, motherfucker. I love a good steak. I actually had a New York strip the other day. It was pretty good. But yeah, like we should not be surprised when we get less comic book content. We should not be surprised that they're spending less on the comic book content. And again, there's a few factors. One is the economy, but two is the obvious shifting interest to these other genres. But again, are comic book movies dead? No. Will they ever die? No, they won't. There will just be less of them. And the budgets will not be anywhere near as big as they were when comic book movies were in their heyday. But we do need, in my opinion, to accept that the dominance of comic book movies is done in Hollywood. Now, that does not mean, I know, the initial reaction to that statement is probably something like, what do you mean Doomsday and Secret Wars and Brand New Day are going to pop the fuck off? Yes, they are. I'm not saying comic book movies are never going to pop the fuck off. But the percentage of them that's going to pop the fuck off is going to be much smaller. Like literally only the big shit, like Spider-Man. Well, in the case of Marvel movies, Spider-Man or the Avengers titles. Hopefully the X-Men titles as well. But we'll see. X-Men titles should pop off. It's the most popular group in Marvel, mutants. But again, those are going to be like the big honking, big money making comic book movies are going to be much further apart and much smaller in number. Because anime's coming, video game adaptations are coming, and horror is coming, believe it or not. Whether you want to call that nerdy content or not, that's up to you. I think horror can qualify as nerdy content. But even if you don't want to qualify it as that, it is still a genre that is on a big time comeback. And the more money that makes, the less money there will be left for comic book content. What do you guys think about the explosion of these other genres and how it will affect our comic book content that we love so much? What do you guys think? Damn it. I forgot to do the thing. Fuck. Maybe next time. Video game movies can make video games in general even more popular if they pop off. Oh, 100%. Like the rumored Bioshock movie. Well, it's not rumored. It's happening. I unbookmarked the tweet. Netflix is making that. Yeah, no, that's a thing. They're making it. That thing I just talked about earlier was the guy that's in charge of it saying that it's 100% going to be based on the first Bioshock video game. So it's happening. But yeah. Well, I mean, that happened with comics when the MCU started really rolling. There was a pop in Marvel sales. There was another pop in Marvel sales when Rivals came out. There's stuff about a Mass Effect show. That is still in the development stage, possibly only in the conceptual stage. I'm not 100% sure. Let me see. Was it supposed to be a show or a movie? Okay, well, something came out a couple weeks ago. Well, about 3 weeks ago. According to Production Weekly, the Mass Effect TV show allegedly should begin filming Q4 2026. So, a little bit after, well, between when Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out and when Doomsday comes out, allegedly the Mass Effect TV show will begin filming sometime in that window. Here's an article. Oh. Okay, so Mass Effect is coming out. Oh, it's going to be through Amazon? All right, so Amazon's going to do Mass Effect. And according to this article, it's going to get the same production team that Fallout show got. So that's fucking good news for the Mass Effect show. The people that did Fallout, and I still haven't watched it. But, you know, obviously the word is pretty much universally considered a damn fucking good show, the Fallout show. So if Mass Effect is getting that same production team, it's a pretty good sign that Mass Effect is going to be fucking awesome too. So that's some good news. And again, yet another example of Hollywood, and yes, Prime Video is part of Hollywood now, of Hollywood not only investing more not only investing in creating more video game adaptation content, but they're willing to put a level of care into the video game content that previously hasn't been seen much. But now, just tonight, we're seeing a couple, 3 examples of it. You know, care in terms of who they hire to bring the show in, care in terms of what they choose to adapt. Again, like the Bioshock show saying, we're definitely doing the first game for this one. You know, stuff like that is what's happening in these other genres, which is why they are on the come up, and comic book movies in general are on their way down just a bit. Never dying, never going away. But also probably, I'm not going to say never, but if they do ever gain the power back that they had over the last, okay, well, minus the last 5 years, but, you know, for 11 years, 2008 to 2019. Yeah, I'm not saying they can't get back to that point, but if they do, it's going to be a while before that happens. Probably a long while. Interest has shifted. That is at this point undeniable. Interest has shifted. Now it's all about what is going to be the next big thing. My personal opinion, Oh, it's really hard to decide. Because anime is popping off hardcore like right now. Video game adaptations are just starting their comeback. I mean, we had Super Mario. What was that? 2 years ago. We just had the Minecraft movie. But again, that's just 2 movies. You know, obviously a lot more are coming down the pipe. Got the Zelda movie. Got that BioShock movie. Like, they're all not like massive Hollywood releases or whatever, but just the fact that they're getting made in such a higher amount than they used to be. Yeah, the interest level is there. Because, Sonic. I think there's another bigger one I was forgetting. Fucking Sonic the Hedgehog killing it lately. I mean, getting Keanu's Knuckles didn't hurt, or not Knuckles, but fuck, was that Shadow? You know, that didn't hurt, but yeah, Sonic is another one that's a video game adaptation that's been doing really fucking well. So, yeah, it's undeniable, in my opinion. What do you guys think? You guys think what do you think the next big thing is going to be? Is it going to be, I mean, horror, while on the come up, is still always going to be at least somewhat niche. You know, horror movies are not for general audiences. Let's be real. Like, big 4 quadrant audiences. You can get, maybe 2 quadrants, maybe even 3 with the right type of horror movie. But horror is still not a 4 quadrant genre. Never has been, never will be. But it can be more than a 1 or 2 quadrant genre for sure. And it's kind of heading that direction right now, as evidenced by the box office success of horror movies this year. Yeah. Guys got any thoughts on that? That is the final subjective. That is all I have planned. I want to know your thoughts on that, your thoughts on anything we talked about. Something you want to talk about that I didn't talk about, excluding today's events. I'm not talking about that shit. Keep it nerdy. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on what we talked about, or, let me know if there's anything else nerdy that you wish to discuss. Horror will grow as a niche in the coming years. Yes, it will. The niche will get bigger. Would love to see more cosmic horror stuff. Oh yeah, that'd be sick. Horror in space. I'm here for that shit. Alien obviously is cosmic horror. There are at least 10 horror movies released a year. Okay. But here's the difference. A bigger percentage of those 10 are making money and gaining national interest. And you don't desire to see them. I mean, like, because horror, no matter how big it may get, is still going to be niche. Event Horizon? I haven't watched it, but I kind of know it. Excuse me. All right. Well, I'm out of subjects. Looks like you guys are pretty much given all your thoughts on stuff. Haven't brought up anything really new to talk about. So yeah, shorter stream, only a little over a couple hours. I know that is unusual for my streams. I'm generally good for like 2.5 to 3 hours, but like I said at the beginning, it's goddamn slow news wise. Like you saw the shit I was talking about. Like I was reaching, I was scraping, trying to find something to talk about tonight. So, yeah, that's all I got. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the fuck on out of here, chat. Really appreciate you guys hanging out though. Hope we get more news on Nerdy and Pot. Yeah, I would love that. I want to have a banger Saturday stream after today. Maybe more Doomsday Leaks, hopefully. Or maybe someone will drop a couple good theories for us to talk about and dissect and agree or disagree with. Something. Please, God, give me something. Anyway. So hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight, even though it wasn't like the most fire stream in terms of stories to go over or news. But thanks for hanging out and plowing through it with me anyway. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Yes, join the Discord. Hit all the buttons. Hit the like. And if you haven't done so, hit the subscribe and the bell. That way you know everything that's going on around here. Around here. We talk that nerdy talk. Round here. Anyway, I'm done slaughtering county crows now. Right. You especially don't like the demonic based horror? That's fair. That's totally fair. There was. You think Justin does? No, there's no thinking. Justin 100% does not like horror stuff. That is a carved in stone fact. Itchy. Oh, of course. All right. So, I'm a dip. I'm a scram. I'm gonna make like a tree and leave. I'm off like a prom dress. You know, pick your metaphor for getting the fuck out of here, because that's what I'm doing. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Hope you have a good rest of your week. Please come back Saturday night at 10. And hopefully something huge will pop off so we can talk about it for a long time. Talk nerdy long time. All right. Love you guys. See you later. Bye-bye. Yeah, chat. Slow news night, short stream. It's kind of how it goes sometimes. And to be frank, all the hoopla and all the shit that happened today and all the shit I've seen on the internet, all the emotions engendered, I'm frankly fucking tired. So, Saturday we'll have some fun. One way or another. Even if it's in more slow news, I'll figure something out. We will have some fun on Saturday. 100%. So come on back, 10 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. And then come back next Tuesday at 9 for the episode 7 of Alien Earth Watch Party. Those are really fun. How do I know? Because y'all tell me, and also that those watch parties get better numbers than any of my Marvel DC content right now. So, and again, there's some more evidence in favor of the shift that I was talking about. Anyway, you guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Really appreciate it. Come on back Saturday at 10. And remember, wherever you're at, whoever you're with, always keep it nerdy. Much love, y'all. Peace.